Hey everybody, I'm Josh Skinner for WithJosh.com. Next to me is Drew Cely.
How's it going, man?
Great, how are you?
I'm pretty fantastic.
So people consider you singer, dancer, actor. What do you most relate to?
I relate to whatever I'm being hired to do at the moment. I love singing, I love dancing. You know, I grew up doing theater in school, so singing, dancing at the same time.
Your mom was a choreographer.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
An ice skating choreographer, funny
Okay.
enough. That's something I never quite picked up. I can't stay up on some skates, but yeah, she was a choreographer. My dad is a singer. They both sing for the Bach Festival Choir in Orlando. So they got me, into music very young.
Tell us about your first paying job.
My first paying job was modeling little suits. I got in doing like print work for Sears catalogs and that kind of thing in Toronto, because I'm from Canada. But my first acting job, my first paying job that I considered like a real job was when I was 11. I was cast in Showboat, the '94 revival, and I was with it for a year. I eventually grew too tall right before they took the show to Broadway, so I got canned, and I thought my life was over.
Yeah, what was that experience like?
Awful. It was
devastating.
Awful, devastating.
Wow.
But then they couldn't find a replacement kid, and they asked me to come back like 2 months later to close out the show in Toronto. So it had a silver lining, and it was a year-long job at 11. So
Tell us about moving to Los Angeles. How did you move here, and what was your first job here?
Well, it was funny because we're in my office right now, and I was cleaning out my office this morning, and I found a bunch of notebooks from when I first moved, when I was about to move out here.
Right.
And I made myself lists of can I do this? What are the pros and cons? And, I didn't have a job out here. I had one of the ladies that I was in Showboat with actually hooked me up with her agent out here, and they said that if I did move to LA, that they would try me out, send me out on a couple things. So
how old were you?
This was 6.5 years ago.
Okay.
So yeah, pretty recent. I went to high school and college in Orlando, and so I moved out here, and I got a job at P.F. Chang's as a hot rice scooper.
Okay.
That was fun. Did that for about 2.5 years. But luckily I had an agent the first week I moved out here because of my Showboat connection.
Do you realize how lucky you were?
Yes,
yeah.
But I didn't book or get a call back on the first 3 auditions they sent me on, and then I didn't get any calls even for auditions for another year, because I guess if you don't, you know how it is. Like if you don't prove yourself right away, there's a million other people ready to take your spot. So, maybe I wasn't ready, maybe I wasn't the right look, but I had to switch agencies, and I had to start back from square one.
What was that like?
It was disheartening because I'd moved out here. My whole family was back in Florida. I moved out with a friend of mine, so I had a roommate out here. So we were sort of like, facing the world together. And he's a music producer, so we were working on music at the same time, which was fun. But as far as making a living, it was a P.F. Chang's job, and then I got an internship at Paramount, which was cool. But basically just logging Dr. Phil and Judge Judy tapes and stealing the golf course, riding around the lot. But yeah, it was an interesting introduction to LA.
What's your definition of success? Do you want to grab some coffee?
Yeah,
go for
it. See me staring it down?
Yeah.
I'm such a coffee guy. I don't know, just being happy with life. I mean, sometimes living in LA, you get so consumed with what your next job is going to be, and you measure your worth by where you're at in your career, and it's easy to lose track of taking time for yourself and spending time with your friends, and calling your family and being a human being. And I've fallen into that trap sometimes.
Do you think there's a misconception of what success is here in Los Angeles?
I mean, everybody's trying to, there's definitely a "what can you do for me" attitude, behind a lot of people that you'll meet, which I'm sure I've done the same thing, like you're always trying to figure out where your next job is going to come from, or how you're going to continue to stay out in LA and make a living and have fun and further your career. But
well, how do you keep friends though in the business if that's how you're feeling?
I mean, it's hard. It's really hard.
Because everyone has a hidden agenda.
Everyone has a hidden agenda.
Even this interview, it's kind of like,
yeah.
You kind of think about, I'm talking
Why are
about
we doing
you,
this right now?
and you're helping me, and I'm helping you.
And I just happen to have an album coming out.
And you have an album.
You know
like,
what
it's
I mean?
amazing. But with that said, I do like you as a person.
Thank you, thank you. Well, when we talked before this started,
absolutely.
So, yeah. I mean, yeah, you always have something that you want to promote and you want to talk about, but that's one part of your life, and you shouldn't be always consumed with that. So I'm trying to really focus on being a better person this year. Not that I feel like I've been a bad person, but you know, living in LA, it definitely wears on you after a while.
Let's talk about High School Musical. I want to briefly touch upon it because that was a huge success. You were nominated for an Emmy for Get Your Head in the Game for a song and lyrics.
Crazy.
Obviously, it's out on the internet that you were the singing voice of Troy, for the first movie, and then you went on the national tour and you were singing in front of like 60,000 people a night. That's a huge jump from P.F. Chang's. What was that like?
It was like a kid in a candy store, you know, sudden, you know, from P.F. Chang's to literally arenas with 60,000 people, and I was, you know, Zac Efron's part in the film is like the focal point. He's the main guy, sings most of the main songs. That was me for the tour. Mm-hmm. So it was the time of my life, and I made great friends and great connections. And it led to a lot of other jobs. Like I really don't think another Cinderella story or probably even The Little Mermaid would have came along if I hadn't had that, you know.
But did you feel like
experience.
This was this experience and all these amazing things were happening because you were kind of in Zac Efron's shadow? Did you kind of feel like, or did you really feel like I did this on my own and it's because of my own talent that I'm getting these opportunities?
I feel like the fact that I co-wrote Get Your Head in the Game validated me a little more than if I was just brought in as a filler.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I had more of a stake in the actual film and the music from it. So yeah, I never felt like a fill-in. It was always hard it wasn't hard, but like the first song of the concert, I'd walk up from the back of the stage, and at first everyone was always like, where's Zach? And yeah, it took a good half a minute to a minute to win them over new every night because I was the only person that wasn't in the film that they didn't recognize. I was the fill-in guy, but I feel like there wasn't one show where I ever felt anything from the audience where I wasn't supposed to be there.
How did you get hooked up with co-writing Get Your Head in the Game?
I was working with an amazing, talented producer, writer named Ray Cham, who tragically passed away a couple years ago in a motorcycle accident. And he was my mentor, and I was actually signed to a production deal with him as a solo artist for my own music. And that's how we started writing that song. Is I was working on my demo with him in his studio, and he happened to be working on these songs for High School Musical that day, and he knew I was a lyricist, and I was like, hey, can I get in and co-write on this little project that might never go anywhere, but it's a weekend gig. And he was gracious enough to let me write with him on it, and it turned into what it turned into, but neither one of us expected anything from it. So
what was that like for you when you knew that he passed?
It was awful. It's still awful. He was an amazing guy. He taught me a lot. The album that I'm putting out is dedicated to him, and I've included the last song that we wrote together. I reproduced it and put it on there because I wanted it to, because he started it. He's part of the reason why I'm out here, and he sort of is the reason that I'm still out here doing it. So
what's the name of that song?
It's called Shoulda.
Okay.
So
how does it go?
It's
Is it too early in the morning? Okay.
It's not about it's not a nice song. It's a very angry breakup, throw crap across the room kind of song. But he was a fiery guy. He was a really good guy to write with.